Welcome back to my channel, y'all. And I do put emphasis on back because I hope by now you have clicked that subscribe button and joined the crew. So today, y'all, I am making brown butter pecan chocolate chip cookies. Now that's a mouthful, but let me tell you, after you make this recipe, look, your mouth will be full of these cookies. They're ooey gooey and chewy cookies. These are my one of my favorites, but they're such an easy recipe, and they're so look at that, y'all. Come on now, let's get into the recipe now. So the first thing I did was brown 2 sticks of butter. I use salted butter in my recipes. It doesn't matter, salted, unsalted, it does not compromise the taste, but I just prefer to use it. Also, what I'm doing right now is adding 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, it does look like a lot of flour, but I am doubling my recipe because when I make cookie dough, I always make enough so that I can freeze the dough for a later time, because we just go in throughout the week and pull out some cookies whenever we want a snack or what have you. So if you're gonna go through all this trouble, you might as well make enough for later. So now I am adding a teaspoon of salt, and I always use sea salt in my baking, just a little bit finer than regular table salt or kosher, but yeah, sea salt is my go-to. I am also adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Emphasis on baking soda, not baking powder, because if you add baking powder, it is going to result in having a puffy cookie, and that's not what you're wanting. You're wanting a nice leveled cookie that's crispy on the edges but still chewy, and so yeah, definitely use baking soda. Again, all of these items you can get from Aldi. So going back and checking on my butter, it took a long time to brown. I don't know why I didn't use a skillet, but it will go a lot faster if you do that. So I'm gonna start roasting the pecans, and by roasting, I am just adding 2 cups of chopped pecans to a skillet. Y'all don't judge me, I should have used a bigger skillet. I know. But just finishing off the bag there, so just a little bit under 2 cups. But if you're making the regular recipe, you would only add 1 cup. If you want to add pecans, I know one of my friends, she's allergic to them, so I will leave them out for cookies when I make them for her. But something else too, I probably would have chopped these up just a little bit more, but they still turned out amazing. But yeah, so keep an eye on your butter. If y'all knew off camera, this kind of bubbled over a little bit. As I mentioned in my bio, I am not a professional chef. I am just in the kitchen enjoying myself, doing my thing. So now I am getting ready to chop up and shave some chocolate. So a lot of different people will use the baker squares or the chocolate blocks. I like the almond bark because I'm all about efficiency, y'all. So I go to Aldi and get the almond bark, just take a couple of squares. So for this recipe, I use about 4 or 5 squares, but again, doubling the recipe, so you would only do 2 to 3. And the reason why I love the almond bark is because it just takes your cookies to another level. And I also use this in addition to the regular milk chocolate chip, so it gives it a nice little balance because the almond bark is not that sweet, but the little bits will get all throughout the dough so that you're guaranteed to have chocolate in every single bite. And that's a good cookie, right? You want a cookie with chocolate in every single bite. So highly recommend using the almond bark, shaving it up and mix it in there. And then again, you can try different variations, but definitely a go-to. Try it. So these are my ingredients, the dry ingredients, and then my sugar. So I had 1 cup of brown sugar, which I make myself because it just heightens the quality. And I'll add a recipe into the description for that as well. Super easy. But right now, my brown butter has cooled to room temperature, and I'm just adding that to the mixer, getting that going. It should thicken up as you're mixing, and then, of course, here I'm just adding both the sugar. So again, this is 1 cup of brown sugar, and then half a cup of just regular white sugar. And by adding a little bit more brown sugar, some recipes call for 3/4 of a cup. More brown sugar creates a more moist and chewy cookie, so I go a little bit heavier on the brown sugar. And yeah, just keep whipping it up. I kicked up the speed just to kind of get it to emulsify. So there, yeah, this is what you're looking for right here. Your butter should have thickened up. And so, yeah, you just keep going. And what I'm doing now is going to add my vanilla. I've used this Mexican vanilla, pure vanilla. It is amazing. It's from Molina. You can get it at any grocery store. It's so good. Highly recommend it. I am adding the 2 large eggs that have been sitting out at room temperature. If you forget to do that, make sure you can just put it into a little mug of warm water, not hot, just warm water, and that'll bring the inner temperature up to room temperature. But it does make a difference, you guys. But if not, it shouldn't compromise it too much, but I stick to what I know. So now I am just adding the flour, dry ingredients. So again, this is my all-purpose flour, my baking soda, and my sea salt. You want to do a little at a time to make sure that it's all incorporated, because you don't want to have a pocket of flour when you're going to make your cookie. This is the consistency that you should be looking for. So it is very, very soft, but it's that, regular cookie dough texture. So now, it's my favorite part. I'm adding in the mixture of the shaved almond bark and the chocolate chips, and just give a quick mix. I know people fold this in my hand, but I'm lazy. Call it what it is. But I just give it a couple of turns with the paddle, just so I can make sure that it gets throughout the dough. And oh yes, adding in those roasted pecans, y'all. Chocolate chip pecan. Listen, this recipe, those pecans just kick it up to a whole different level. They're so good. But of course, if you're allergic to them, you can leave these out. You can add any type of toppings or mixture that you prefer. But this is definitely a really good one. So scooping them out, make sure you put some space in between your dough. I get greedy and want a dozen cookies all at once, but space your cookies out, because these will spread out and you don't want them to change the shape, because you want a cute cookie, right? So I did scoop out the rest of the cookie dough that I made. Again, I doubled the recipe, and this is why. I just scoop them onto a cookie sheet with wax paper, put them in the freezer for 15 minutes, and there you go. You have dough that you can just pop out and put them in the oven at any time. And while I did that, cookies went into the oven at 375 for 11 minutes. And one thing I did do was at least put them in the freezer for 10 minutes just to kind of firm up. You can just go right into the oven once you've mixed your dough, but I like to let them set for just a moment. And so if you do that, definitely start looking in the oven at 11 minutes. But these are them. Give it up for the Cookie Monster, because y'all are gonna become cookie monsters after this recipe. Trust me, these cookies are so soft. You store them in your container or a Ziploc and they will still be soft. So try them out. They are amazing. I'm telling y'all. Y'all thank me for this later. Trust me. Don't forget again to click the like button and hit subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching. For all you newcomers, welcome, welcome, welcome.